Welcome to the Den of Episodes. I'm Marlo Fox, and this is your cozy little corner of the internet. Grab your mug of coffee or tea, settle into your favorite cozy spot, and let's escape to the Highlands. Well, friends, here in the Den, we're excited to get into Season 3. And this season, we have a new character named Stella Moon, who's from Lascelles Bank. We have Hector and Kilwillie in this episode getting into their usual shenanigans, along with a bit of help from Molly as well. And we have Archie and Katrina's budding romance. Let's dive in. The episode starts with the arrival of Stella Moon. And as you know, the bridge is out, so they're using this sort of makeshift raft to ferry people across. So Duncan's there to meet her. Meanwhile, we have Archie and Katrina having a lovely stroll through the forest. They're holding hands, they stop for kisses. Obviously, their romance is in full bloom. And when they get to where Stella Moon is, she informs them that she isn't just here to deliver a check. She's going to be here for some time. Meanwhile, Hector is looking forward to what he believes will be a peaceful day of golf. Molly is following him out of the house, telling him that she'd like to join the golf club. She has visions of husband and wife spending quality time together on the course. Hector reacts to this suggestion with all the enthusiasm of a man being informed he'll need a root canal. I just had one recently, and believe me, I was not enthusiastic about it. Necessary and glad to have it done, but not enthusiastic. He escapes as quickly as possible. With the bridge out of commission, everybody has adopted a rather unusual solution. Everyone's using motorized scooters. I don't mean the mobility scooters that you sit down on. These are the ones that kids like that you stand on, except these are motorized. There's so many scooters in this episode. Archie has one, Duncan has one, Stella has one, Hector has one, and as Hector is on his way to the golf club, he meets Archie, Duncan, and Stella coming the other way, and he almost runs them over. And that's how Stella meets Hector. Actually, the way Stella meets everyone in the household is odd. First of all, she meets Molly while she's collecting tree sap for homemade vodka. She has sap all over her hands, and she shakes Stella's hand, so she's covered in sap now too. So she goes into the kitchen to wash her hands, and while she's in there, Golly comes in carrying a shotgun while making cryptic comments about people being liars. Then an onion nearly flies through the air and takes Stella's head off because Lexi's using it to practice her golf swing. Eventually, Stella reveals why she's actually at Glen, and it's not good news. The McDonald's already owe the bank an eye-watering £475,000. And Archie needs $100,000 to repair the bridge. The bank is willing to provide the money, but there's a catch, a very large catch. Stella wants complete control of the estate immediately. Archie can stay, but he'll be taking a back seat. For Archie, this is almost unthinkable. Glen isn't just where he works, it's who he is. He's convinced nobody understands the estate better than he does. And Stella is equally convinced that this confidence may be part of the problem. Back at the golf course, Hector hits a ball straight into the water hazard. Then Hector tries to cheat and pretend it didn't even go in the water. Unfortunately, Kilwillie sees everything. And another golfer confirms it. Before Hector can continue arguing, the witness, who happens to be the president of the golf club, drives away in his golf cart and promptly crashes into the water hazard because he's having a heart attack. The death of the golf club president creates an unexpected opportunity. Hector decides he should be the next president. And naturally, Kilwillie decides exactly the same thing. Because if there's one thing these two men enjoy more than breathing, it's competing with each other. Soon they're exchanging insults and plotting campaign strategies, like rival politicians in a national election. The fact that this is all over a golf club is even funnier. Now, when I say they're hurling insults, I mean hurling insults. For instance, Hector says he'd rather help a baboon with profound learning difficulties or a rabid dog become president. While Archie is battling Stella, Katrina goes to Inverness to meet with an MP. An MP is a member of Parliament, and her name is Mary McBride. Now, if you're an MP, you would be elected for your area, but you would work out of London. And she offers Katrina a job. It's exactly the kind of opportunity Katrina has always dreamed about. The problem with that is that she would have to leave Glen and Archie. When Archie asks later if she has any news, she keeps the job offer to herself. You can immediately sense there's trouble brewing. Not because she wants to deceive him, but she knows what this will mean to their relationship should she accept the job. Next, we have Molly on the phone, acting very mysteriously. She's setting up a secret meeting in a barn. Of course, I assume something scandalous was happening. And when she goes to the barn, who is she meeting? Kilwillie. And she's volunteering to become his campaign strategist. I nearly fell off my chair. Poor Kilwillie looks just as shocked as I am. But Molly has decided Hector needs a lesson, and she's determined to help Kilwillie win. What follows is bribery, vote counting, electoral strategy, political manipulation, all being discussed with complete seriousness over a golf club election. And here I'd like to say that in the U.S., instead of golf club, we would refer to it as a country club. I'm pretty sure a fox would be allowed in a country club, but I've never been to one. Maybe someday. Next, we have Hector recruiting Golly to help him deal with Kilwillie. In a language that sounds less like a golf club election and more like organized crime. Hector declares that he wants Kilwillie sent to sleep with the fishes. He then pays Golly a very strange compliment, telling him he's like a thug in tweed, who always knows exactly when to stick the dirk in, and a dirk is a traditional Scottish dagger. Archie refuses Stella's offer, and for a brief moment he feels triumphant. A man's got to do what a man's got to do. But then Lexi asks a very important question. Did you get the check before Stella left? So he takes off after her, and soon he discovers her backup plan. If he won't cooperate, the bank will simply declare him bankrupt, repair the bridge themselves, and sell Glen. To make her point, Stella starts putting up signs advertising the estate for sale. Suddenly Archie realizes he has no choice. Just then, when things couldn't get worse, Stella receives a fax. Yes, a fax. Remember those? We had one recently. You know what happens next. Stella retrieves the fax and hands it to Archie. The document reveals Katrina's Westminster job offer, and his face absolutely drops. It looks like their future might be very fragile. Meanwhile, Hector and Golly discover the election may come down to one final voter, a man named Robert McFadden. The problem? He's in a nursing home, barely coherent, connected to oxygen. Naturally, Hector decides the reasonable solution is to wheel him out and secure his vote. But Kilwillie has the same idea. Next thing you know, we have two grown men racing each other for a pensioner in a wheelchair. It's completely ridiculous, and they don't succeed because the stout nurse at the home puts a stop to it. One thing I love about this episode is how cleverly Stella is introduced. At first she seems cold, bossy, and maybe even a villain. But the more we watch, the more we realize she's actually the only person treating Glen like a business instead of a beloved family member. The truth is that Stella isn't completely wrong. Archie loves Glen, but love alone won't pay the bills. Next, we have Lexi, Molly, Duncan, and Golly staging a quiet rebellion against Stella. She returns after trying to cross the lock by wading across, and she's soaking wet and exhausted. The electricity isn't working and nobody's helping her. And then they explain to her that if Archie leaves, they leave too. Congratulations, Stella. You now own 39,000 acres and absolutely nobody willing to run them. Perhaps it's the first moment Stella begins to understand what Glen Bogle really is. The heart of the episode belongs to Archie and Katrina. Archie eventually realizes that Katrina may need to follow her ambitions. Katrina realizes she may be forced to choose between the future she's dreamed of and the man she loves. Neither wants to hurt the other, which makes it even sadder. When Katrina says it feels like something is dying, you can almost feel the weight of that moment. Back at the golf club, Hector ultimately surprises everyone. Instead of fighting to the bitter end, he withdraws from the race and allows Kilwillie to become president. It's one of Hector's better moments, though Molly wastes no time reminding Kilwillie that she knows exactly how he secured those votes. It looks like the club will no longer restrict the female golfers to ladies' days. The poor man realizes he's won the presidency and acquired a very dangerous advisor at the same time. And then we come to the perfect ending. Having spent the entire episode trying to impose order on Glen Bogle, Stella decides she's perfectly capable of crossing the water by herself using the homemade ferry. What could possibly go wrong? Well, everything. Before long, the little raft is drifting away downstream, Stella aboard, cold, wet, and increasingly panicked as she shouts for Duncan to come rescue her. Duncan immediately wants to help, but Golly stops him. Now, if you've watched enough Monarch of the Glen, you know that whenever Golly starts dispensing wisdom, it's usually worth listening to. Watching Stella float helplessly away, Golly calmly explains that she needs to learn the first rule of life in the Highlands. He says you come into the world naked, wet, and cold, and then things really get bad. It's a wonderfully funny moment, but it's also surprisingly meaningful. Stella arrived at Glen Bogle believing she could solve its problems with spreadsheets, bank statements, and common sense. But by the end of the episode, she's literally floating downstream, soaked to the skin, discovering that the Highlands don't care much about plans, timetables, or authority. And somehow, I think this won't be the last lesson Glen Bogle has in store for Stella Moon. And now it's time for Across the Pond translations. First, we had the phrase tish and pish, T-I-S-H, and then the word P-I-S-H. Tish and pish is a dismissive expression meaning nonsense, rubbish, or don't be ridiculous. We also had the word dirk, D-I-R-K, when Hector said to Golly that he knew when to stick the dirk in, and that is a traditional Scottish dagger. Thank you for joining me in the Den of Episodes. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. If you'd like to reach me, I'm at thedenofepisodes@yahoo.com. And until next time, I'm Marlo Fox. Keep the kettle on and the episodes rolling.